What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well over you. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're excited because the second week of Dallas Cowboys training camp has just about come to a close. It depends how you look at it. It hasn't been 14 practices or anything like that, but it has basically been 2 weeks for the Cowboys out in Oxnard, California. There have been some troubling things, some concerning things, some questions that have been raised, but there's also been some excitement, some players ascending and growing and establishing new and more important roles. There's also some new players. Cavante Turpin showed up, and as of late, Anthony Barr, the newest member of the Dallas Cowboys, who is wearing number 51. Seems like that may change. It was one of the only kind of available numbers to Anthony Barr. Obviously, he couldn't have 55 because that's Leighton Vander Esch, and he couldn't have his college number in 11 because that's Micah Parsons. So 51, kind of the best of both worlds. You got the 5, you got the 1. Maybe that's just me reading a little bit too into it. But we did not have a live show on Friday because the Cowboys had another walkthrough, not a real intense practice. The pads do come back on Saturday, so we'll be here with another video to recap that practice for you, as we always are. Please make sure to subscribe here to the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel. But we wanted to give you something to just wet your whistle, to something to keep you excited, something to keep the momentum going. It's training camp. It's football season. We have football game on Thursday night. The Premier League's back, so sports are in the air, starting to feel a little bit like fall. I tweeted asking for some pulled pork recipes. Some people gave them to me, so no big deal. But Anthony Barr did speak, and we wanted to go over a few of his comments. First of all, courtesy of our friend Patrick Walker from DallasCowboys.com, Anthony Barr saying that he thinks Dallas is a contender, that he's excited to be here. That is definitely an exciting thing to hear. Not exactly a Super Bowl guarantee or anything like that. It was reported by NFL Network that Anthony's choices came down to the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos. Obviously, the Broncos expected to contend, even though they're in that super tough AFC West and the super tough AFC as a whole. But he clearly believes that the Cowboys are a legitimate team that can hopefully make some legitimate noise here in 2022. It's been mentioned the connection that he had to George Edwards from their time together with the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, Patrick noted that there, as well as the connection with Dan Quinn, who everybody has because Dan Quinn is amazing. Moving on, Anthony was asked about Micah Parsons, who has that coveted number 11, courtesy of Michael Gelkin from the Dallas Morning News, and said, obviously he had a great start last year. I'm hoping to be able to be a tool, a resource to him, and also learn from him, learn from all the guys, come in humble and ready to learn and ready to help. This is, you love to hear this. And again, it's not like Anthony's going to come out and be like, Micah sucks. I hate this. I don't want to be teammates with anybody. But this is what we want. We want and have been asking for legitimate, proven players who have been there and done it in the NFL, who can come in, teach Micah some things, and to Anthony's credit, maybe learn some things from Micah. Micah's obviously one of the best defensive players in the NFL. This linebacker group for the Dallas Cowboys has a lot of potential. There are some potential, missteps along the way if the injury bug comes biting. But when you're talking about a group that features Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, Jabril Cox, and now not Micah Parsons, now Anthony Barr, you can definitely be very excited about it. Last tweet for you, courtesy of ESPN's Todd Archer. Anthony Barr, obviously, the quote, I've heard nothing but great things about Dan Quinn, how he operates, and I think Dallas is a contender, and I want to be on a team that I felt had a chance to win. I want an opportunity to play at a high level, and I'm excited to be here. What we've heard about Barr so far in the preliminary process of him joining the Cowboys, and it's worth mentioning that he is on the PUP list, so it's not like we're going to get to see him for a little bit, and that's totally fine, totally normal. He should take his time. I mean, he hasn't been on a team, obviously, all offseason, so go slow, be, patient. That's the whole part of this process, but the arrival of Barr is expected to open up more opportunities for Micah Parsons to rush the passer. And so there will be opportunities to play. And that's what we had been screaming about for so long, was get another linebacker in here as a point of depth, because when you rush the passer with Micah Parsons, you're leaving the linebacker group, the middle of that defense, susceptible. That was why we wanted Bobby Wagner. That is why we're so thrilled about Anthony Barr. So it's a very exciting thing to have him in, have him a part of this team, have him a part of this group, a part of Dan Quinn. There are good vibes happening with the Dallas Cowboys defense. There are questionable vibes, obviously, happening with, say, the Dallas Cowboys kicker situation, or say the Dallas Cowboys swing tackle situation, or as I know a lot of you have said in our comment section, the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver situation. We did a video this past week. Obviously, the James Washington injury was one of the bigger storylines over the last few days. And in the aftermath of it, we explored 5 receivers who we believe the Cowboys should potentially consider bringing in. And they all have justifications to different degrees. You can make cases for them based on different reasons. It's obvious that the Cowboys need somebody in the here and now to help them, especially when it comes to their Week 1 game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. By the way, on the subject of that, I know we obviously talk about the Cowboys primarily. Chris Godwin did return to practice for the Bucs on Friday, but they are taking it slow with him. It's still unknown whether he's going to play Week 1, and Mike Evans did have a hamstring issue pop up, but it doesn't seem like he's necessarily in jeopardy for the season opener. But still, an important thing to pay attention to. Obviously, the Bucs are expected to be one of the top teams in the conference. That's an important game. You always want to win every single game, but Chris Godwin, it does kind of feel like he might not play, although the Cowboys are 0-6 all-time against Tom Brady. But back to the Cowboys wide receiver group. We talked about, like I said, Will Fuller feels like the favorite among most people, the consensus favorite who the Dallas Cowboys should go out and try to sign. Emmanuel Sanders makes a lot of sense. He's a veteran. He really doesn't miss a lot of time. He's a high floor kind of guy. Cole Beasley, there are pros, there are cons. We can sit here, we can debate, but whatever the case may be, he is an existing option nonetheless. T.Y. Hilton, obviously a player who may not play a lot, who may not be reliable from a health perspective, but can certainly contribute. And finally, Odell Beckham Jr. And I know what people say, well, why do you want to go sign Odell? That's just the same situation. That's the same problem the Cowboys are in. He is further back on the timeline, this time frame than Michael Gallup. He can't help in the interim while you're dealing without this, while you need another receiver. That's true. So that's why, the people who have this mentality sign both. Sign Will Fuller and Odell Beckham Jr. Because if you can add Odell, if at some point this season, if it's obviously not going to be Week 1, but if at some point this season, this wide receiver group can at the very top feature CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Odell Beckham Jr., then hot tamale, we're all cooking with some gas. We're not making pulled pork anymore. We're making steaks on the grill, and it is going to be delicious. And so Odell is something that's going to kind of exist until he winds up on a team, and that day will come. Obviously, it may not be until the middle of the regular season. He obviously was cut by the Browns and joined the Rams late in the year last year. But I thought this was interesting. CeeDee Lamb was on the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. Great interview. Go check out their YouTube channel. Subscribe to them. They do such a great job covering the team, obviously, all year round. But CeeDee was asked who his favorite wide receiver to watch currently in the NFL is, and here's what he had to say.
Who's your favorite wide receiver currently to watch in the NFL?
Odell, most definitely, and Devontae. Them two guys are crazy.
Why Odell? What is it about
Odell,
him?
his yards after the catch. I've been watching him since high school. Since high school and college also. And then I was kind of early on in Devontae Adams also, just because he always had the wiggle to himself. It just wasn't as drastic now and as as effective. Like you could really see what he's doing to these DBs. So like just kind of just taking hints from here and there.
Well, you were talking.
It obviously makes sense when you consider CeeDee's age. These younger receivers in the NFL, CeeDee, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, those are LSU guys, so even more so. But it makes sense that they would love Odell. Odell rose to prominence in 2014 when a lot of these younger players, as mentioned, were in high school or college, and so that's just kind of the way things work. Devontae Adams, bit of a bummer to hear that CeeDee loved him because in 2014, it's just an example. Devontae, we don't have to talk about that, but. Still, very cool to hear, CeeDee talking about players he loves. That's just really cool in general to learn more about CeeDee Lamb. That's why I said great interview there. And do go check out all the content that the Fan puts out. They do such a great job covering the Cowboys. But wouldn't it be cool to see CeeDee play with his favorite receiver in the NFL currently? Not that he necessarily ranks Odell over Devontae Adams, but one of his favorite. Odell was the first name he said. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. You would love to see that. Obviously, CeeDee would love to see that. I presume that Odell would love to see that. I do think that that's something that, not as lingering, but it has to be. It has to be a thought that you're considering. You always have to be thinking about things that may or may not be relevant or may be a factor or should be a factor or shouldn't be a factor. That's how roster building should work in the NFL. You got to always be considering multiple different things. It's like playing a game, playing the game of Big Brother. You got to always be running scenarios in your mind. What happens if we do? What happens if we don't? What happens if X, Y, Z? whatever the case may be. But yeah, that about does it for Friday, August 5th, 2022. As mentioned, the Cowboys took things a little bit light. They'll be back in pads on Saturday, and then a week from tomorrow, next Saturday, August 13th, we have a Dallas Cowboys football game. It's a preseason game, and so obviously Dak, Zeke, and co will probably take it light, or Mike McCarthy's already said, the players that are going to take it light, but still, it will be exciting. We'll have a lot of coverage around that. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. You can shoot me an email, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or you can leave me a comment down below, and we'll get to those. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll have a video up on Saturday recapping practice, and I hope you eat some delicious food. I hope it's great. Hope it's delicious. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next time.